The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, transmitted across 300 light-years of space. It appeared simultaneously on every major communication network across Earth, impossible to ignore or dismiss. The Galactic Council had finally noticed humanity. Captain Dae-jung stood in the briefing room of Earth Defense Command, watching the alien transmission play for the third time. The holographic display showed a creature that looked like a walking tree with too many branches. Its voice came through the translators as cold and formal. The species known as humanity is summoned to answer charges before the Galactic Council. You have established colonies in 17 systems without permission. You have built military structures in neutral space. You have ignored all proper protocols. A delegation will arrive at Council Nexus Station within 30 standard days. Failure to comply will result in sanctions. The hologram flickered and died. Admiral Han Wool, a man whose gray hair and tired eyes spoke of decades in military service, leaned back in his chair. Around the table sat Earth's top military commanders and their chief diplomat, Ambassador Jiwoo. Sanctions, Han Wool said with a dry laugh. They think they can threaten us like children. They don't know any better, Jiwoo replied. She was younger than most people in the room, but her sharp mind had earned her position. We've been quiet. We built our colonies far from their core systems. They probably think we're primitives who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. Dae-jung crossed his arms. He commanded the UHS Indomitable, humanity's newest warship. He had seen the intelligence reports about Council species. Their technology was old. Their tactics were predictable. They had grown comfortable ruling the galaxy without serious competition. What do they expect? Asked Lieutenant Hai-jin, the Indomitable's weapons officer. She sat near the back of the room, taking notes on her data pad. A shuttle full of scared diplomats? Exactly that, Han Wool said. He pulled up images of other species' diplomatic visits to the Council. Each showed small vessels, barely armed, arriving like beggars at a king's court. Council protocol demands new species arrive in small ships. It's meant to show deference, respect, submission. The word hung in the air like poison. We don't do submission, Dae-jung said quietly. Han Wool smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. No, we don't. He stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth's primary orbital shipyard. Through the reinforced glass, the construction frame stretched for kilometers. Inside the largest frame sat the Indomitable, a warship that measured over a kilometer from bow to stern. I have a different idea, the Admiral continued. The Council expects a shuttle. Let's send them a battleship instead. The room erupted in conversation. Some officers laughed. Others looked concerned. Jiwoo remained quiet, her eyes thoughtful. You want to send the Indomitable? Counselor Tae-min asked. He was Earth's top legal expert, brought in to handle the complicated politics of first contact. That's not exactly subtle. Subtle is how you get stepped on, Han Wool replied. These Council species have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They're used to everyone bowing down. If we show up weak, they'll treat us like children forever. Dae-jung understood immediately. He had spent his entire career preparing for the moment when humanity would face older, more established civilizations. The Indomitable wasn't just a warship. It was a statement. Earth's engineers had built it using technology no Council species possessed. Its weapons could crack planets. Its shields could withstand sustained bombardment. And it was only one of 12 identical vessels already deployed across human space. If we do this, Jiwoo said slowly, there's no going back. The Council will see it as aggressive, provocative. Good, Han Wool said. Let them see humanity as we truly are, strong, independent, not afraid. The ambassador considered this. She had studied the Council's history, their laws, their culture. They respected strength. Every powerful species in the Council had earned their position through military might, then hidden that strength behind diplomatic language. Earth would need to do the same. I'll go, she finally said. But Captain Dae-jung comes with me. If we're making a statement, we need the military perspective there. Dae-jung nodded. My ship, my responsibility. Over the next few days, preparations moved quickly. The Indomitable took on supplies for the month-long journey. Ambassador Jiwoo assembled her team, including Counselor Tae-min and several legal experts. Captain Byung-ho, commander of the escort cruiser Dauntless, volunteered to accompany them with his ship. Hee-jin spent hours reviewing the Indomitable's weapon systems. She wanted everything perfect. This wouldn't be a combat mission. but they needed to be ready for anything. The Council might see their arrival as an act of war. On the morning of departure, Daijung stood on the Indomitable's bridge. The massive viewscreen showed Earth hanging in space, blue and green and beautiful. He had spent most of his life protecting that world. Now he would represent it to the galaxy. All systems ready. Captain, reported Commander Jae Hwan from the tactical station. Navigation plotted to Council Nexus, added the helm officer. Daijung looked at the crew around him. Young faces, mostly. They had trained their entire careers for this. Humanity's first real interaction with galactic civilization. Everything depended on the next few weeks. Ambassador Jiwoo, are your quarters satisfactory? He asked over the intercom. Her voice came back calm and professional. Perfectly adequate, Captain. I'm ready when you are. In the engineering section deep in the ship's heart, Engineer Bora monitored her displays. Every reactor hummed at optimal efficiency. Every weapon system showed green. The Indomitable was the finest achievement of human engineering, and Bora had personally overseen much of its construction. She felt pride knowing her ship would show the galaxy what humanity could accomplish. Take us out, Daijung ordered. The Indomitable detached from the orbital dock with precise movements. Its massive bulk moved away from Earth, followed by the smaller but still impressive Dauntless. Both ships oriented toward deep space away from the crowded inner system. Slipspace drive charging, reported the engineering station. 30 seconds to transition. Daijung felt the familiar tension before a jump. Slipspace travel bent reality in uncomfortable ways, but it would carry them across the galaxy in weeks instead of centuries. All hands prepare for slipspace transition, he announced. The countdown reached 0. Space twisted. The stars stretched into impossible lines. Then the Indomitable and its escort vanished from Earth's space, beginning their journey to the Council Nexus. Behind them, Admiral Hanwol watched from his office on the command station. He had made a gamble. The Council expected weakness. They expected submission. Instead, they would meet humanity's finest warship, commanded by one of Earth's best captains, carrying diplomats who would bow to no one. Let's see how they react to that, he muttered to himself. 300 light-years away, the Council prepared their welcome. They gathered warships to intimidate the human delegation. They prepared speeches to put the newcomers in their place. They arranged demonstrations of power to show humanity its proper position in the galactic order. None of them knew what was actually coming. The Council expected a shuttle. They expected fear and uncertainty. They expected another primitive species that would gratefully accept any scraps of status the Council chose to grant. They had no idea that humanity had spent 50 years quietly building the most advanced military in the galaxy. They didn't know about the shipyards hidden in distant systems. They didn't know about Earth's weapons research or its military doctrine. They were about to learn. The Indomitable traveled through slipspace, carrying Earth's message to the stars. That message was simple. Humanity had arrived and they would not be ignored. 28 days after leaving Earth, the Indomitable approached its destination. Captain Daijung stood on the bridge, studying the holographic display of Council Nexus Station. The structure was enormous, a spinning wheel of metal and composite materials that housed thousands of species. It orbited a yellow star in what the Council claimed as neutral space. Impressive, Lieutenant Haijin said from her weapons station. Must be 50 kilometers across. 62, corrected Specialist Kyung-suk at the sensor array. She was young but had the best eyes on the ship when it came to reading scanner data, detecting multiple defense platforms. Energy signatures suggest plasma cannon arrays. Old models, though, at least 200 years behind our current technology. Daijung filed that information away. The Council's defenses looked impressive, but humanity had surpassed them. Still, there were many of them. Dozens of platforms, hundreds of weapons. Enough to make any attacking force think twice. Ship contacts, Kyung-suk continued. 3 large vessels moving to intercept. Reading them as warships from different species. They're forming a blockade between us and the station. Ambassador Jiwoo entered the bridge at that moment. She had spent most of the journey preparing her arguments, studying council law, and planning strategy with Counselor Tae-min. Now she needed to see what they were dealing with. A welcoming committee? She asked. More like a threat, Hyojin replied. She pulled up images of the 3 warships. Each looked different, reflecting their species' design preferences. One was long and thin like a spear. Another was blocky and covered in armor plates. The third looked organic, almost like a living creature made of metal. "They want us to feel small," Daejung said. "Intimidated." "How considerate," Jiwoo said with a slight smile. "Let's disappoint them." The bridge crew made final preparations for dropping out of slip space. The Dauntless, their escort cruiser, would exit first to test the Council's response. Then the Indomitable would follow. It was standard military procedure, though Captain Byung-ho on the Dauntless probably wasn't happy about being the first target if things went wrong. "Transition in 30 seconds, announced the helm officer. Daejung activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands were arriving at Council space. Battle stations, but weapons stay cold. We're here for diplomacy, but stay ready." Throughout the massive warship, crew members moved to their posts. In engineering, Bora double-checked every system. The reactors purred with power. The slip space drive began its shutdown sequence. Everything was perfect. 10 seconds. Space twisted. The stars appeared. No longer stretched lines, but points of light. The Dauntless materialized first, its smaller form appearing 200 kilometers from the Council station. Then came the Indomitable. The warship tore through the boundary between normal space and slip space like a knife through cloth. Its kilometer-long hull emerged section by section. First the heavily armored bow, then the massive body bristling with weapons. Finally the powerful engines that glowed with barely contained energy. Alarms screamed across Council Nexus Station. "Unidentified massive vessel detected," a controller shouted in the station's traffic center. "Energy readings are off the scale. It's larger than a dreadnought." The three warships that had positioned themselves to intimidate the human shuttle suddenly found themselves facing something entirely different. Their captains stared at their sensors in disbelief. On the Indomitable's bridge, Kyung-suk monitored the Council's response. "They're panicking. Multiple communication channels just lit up. The defense platforms are powering weapons." "Let them see us clearly," Daejung ordered. "Full active sensors. I want every ship in range to know exactly what we brought." The Indomitable's sensor arrays activated, washing over the Council forces with scanning beams. It was the military equivalent of a wolf baring its teeth. Not aggressive, but definitely not submissive. A communication channel opened. The voice that came through the translator was high-pitched and stressed. "Unidentified human vessel, you are in violation of Council protocols. Power down all weapons immediately and submit to inspection." Ambassador Jiwoo stepped forward. "This is Ambassador Jiwoo of Earth, aboard the UHS Indomitable. We received a summons to attend the Galactic Council. We are here for that purpose. We request docking clearance according to standard diplomatic protocols." Silence. Then frantic. Conversation in alien languages leaked through before someone remembered to cut the channel. Counselor Tae-min, who had joined them on the bridge, smiled. "They don't know what to do. Council law says they must grant docking to diplomatic vessels, but they never expected a diplomatic vessel to be a battleship." Captain Byung-ho's face appeared on a secondary screen. He commanded the Dauntless from his own bridge. "Captain Daejung, I'm reading target locks from those three warships. Nothing active yet, but they're tracking us." "Noted," Daejung replied. He looked at Hyejin. "Lock onto all three ships. Don't activate weapons, just show them we see them." Hyejin's fingers flew across her console. On the three Council warships, alarms would now be sounding as they detected the Indomitable's targeting systems painting them. The message was clear. If you can target us, we can target you. The communication channel opened again. A different voice this time, deeper and more controlled. "Human vessel Indomitable, this is Defense Coordinator of Council Nexus. Your ship is larger than anticipated. What is your armament?" Jiwoo glanced at Daejung, who shook his head slightly. She understood. "We are a diplomatic vessel," she said simply. "Here at the Council's invitation. Will you grant docking clearance, or are you refusing diplomatic contact?" Another pause. The Council was trapped by their own rules. Refusing to allow a diplomatic vessel to dock would be a serious violation of galactic law. but allowing what was clearly a massive warship to approach the station terrified them. Finally, the answer came. Docking clearance granted. Bay 17. You will be met by security forces. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate response from all defensive systems. Understood, Jiwoo said. We have no hostile intentions. The Indomitable moved forward slowly, deliberately. Its massive bulk dwarfed most of the ships near the station. Civilians in the docking areas pressed against viewports to see the human ship. Many had never imagined anything so large could move with such precision. Officer Sung Min, the Indomitable's intelligence specialist, worked at a side console. He monitored communication traffic around the station, using the ship's advanced systems to intercept and translate hundreds of conversations. Captain, he said quietly, you should hear this. The alien chatter is extremely agitated. Multiple species are demanding to know why humans were allowed to bring a warship. Several are calling emergency council sessions. And there's a lot of speculation about our technology level. What are they guessing? Daejung asked. All over the place. Some think we stole advanced technology from another species. Others think we're a lost colony of an ancient race. A few are suggesting we might be more advanced than current council members. That last group is smart, Heejin muttered. The Indomitable approached the designated docking bay, but there was an immediate problem. The bay was designed for ships a fraction of the Indomitable's size. They gave us a bay for a shuttle, the helm officer said. We don't fit. Daejung opened the channel again. Council Nexus, the assigned bay is insufficient. We require a capital ship berth. More arguing in the background. Then, reluctantly, they were redirected to one of the massive docking cradles usually reserved for the Council's largest vessels. Even there, the Indomitable barely fit. As the ship settled into dock, magnetic clamps engaged. Umbilical connections extended to provide power and atmosphere to the docking collar. Through the viewports, they could see hundreds of aliens gathering to stare at Earth's battleship. Jiwoo straightened her formal uniform. Captain, Counselor Taemin and I will disembark. We'll meet their security forces and proceed to the diplomatic quarters they've assigned. I'm coming with you, Daejung said. Is that wise? The captain should stay with his ship. You're stepping into a station full of species that might see you as a threat. I'm not letting you go alone. He turned to his second-in-command. Commander Jae-hwan, you have the bridge. No one boards this ship without my explicit permission. If there's trouble, protect the ambassador first, worry about politics later. Jae-hwan nodded. Understood, sir. The three humans walked through the Indomitable's corridors to the main airlock. Outside, they could see a large group of alien security forces waiting. The guards carried weapons and wore armor, trying to look intimidating. The airlock opened. Jiwoo stepped out first, followed by Daejung and Taemin. The aliens stared at them, clearly uncertain. These were the humans? They looked so ordinary, so unremarkable. Yet they had arrived in the most powerful warship the Council had seen in generations. I am Ambassador Jiwoo of Earth, she said clearly. We are here in response to the Council's summons. The lead security officer, a creature, with 4 arms and scales covering its body, struggled to maintain composure. You will follow us to your quarters. The Council will summon you when they are ready. As they walked through the station, aliens stopped to watch them pass. Word of the massive human warship had spread quickly. These 3 humans looked harmless enough. The Grand Council chamber was designed to intimidate. Ambassador Jiwoo understood this the moment she walked through its enormous doors. The room was vast, with a domed ceiling that showed a holographic display of the galaxy. Tiered seating rose in a circle around a small platform at the center, where those summoned before the Council were meant to stand. Hundreds of aliens filled those seats. They represented dozens of species from across known space. Some looked almost human. Others were so alien that Jiwoo had trouble identifying which parts were heads and which were limbs. All of them watched as she, Captain Daejung, and Counselor Taemin walked to the center platform. They want us to feel small, Taemin whispered, surrounded, judged. Then we'll disappoint them again, Jiwoo replied quietly. She stood straight on the platform, not showing any nervousness. Daejung positioned himself slightly behind her right shoulder, his military bearing making it clear he was protection, not decoration. Taemin stood to her left, datapad ready. A figure rose from the highest tier of seats. It was the same tree-like creature whose image had delivered the original summons to Earth. Its voice boomed through the chamber, amplified by technology. The Galactic Council recognizes the presence of humanity's representatives. I am High Counselor of the Botanical Union. You have been summoned to answer serious charges. Jiwoo said nothing. She had learned from Taemin that letting them speak first often revealed their strategy. Another alien rose, this one covered in fur with 6 eyes arranged around its head. Humanity has established 17 colonies in disputed space. These systems were claimed by Council species. You have violated territorial agreements. A third speaker, a floating creature that seemed to be made of crystalline structures. Worse, you have built military installations without requesting permission. You have armed yourselves heavily. This suggests aggressive intentions. More voices joined in, each adding to the list of accusations. Humanity had expanded too quickly, built too many ships, refused to register their settlements with council authorities, failed to seek guidance from elder species. The complaints went on for nearly 20 minutes. Jiwoo listened to all of it, her face calm. When the chamber finally fell silent, she spoke for the first time. Are you finished? The simple question caused confused murmuring. The High Counselor's branches rustled in what might have been irritation. You may respond to these charges. I will, Jiwoo said. But first, Counselor Taemin has information to share. Taemin activated his datapad. A holographic display appeared above the center platform, visible to everyone in the chamber. It showed star charts, legal documents, and registration records. Every system humanity has colonized was unclaimed under council law, Taemin said. His voice was calm but firm. Article 12 of the Territorial Claims Act requires any species claiming a system to file proper documentation within 5 years of discovery. We checked. None of the species complaining about our colonies filed the correct paperwork. Angry responses erupted from several sections of the chamber. The furry alien with 6 eyes shouted over the noise. We were in those systems first. Paperwork is a technicality. Council law is built on technicalities, Jiwoo replied. Either the rules matter or they don't. You can't claim systems just because you think you deserve them. The High Counselor raised limbs for silence. Even if your colonies are technically legal, you have built military forces without consultation. The Council maintains galactic peace. Large militaries are dangerous. Dangerous to whom? Daejung asked, speaking for the first time. His question hung in the air. To everyone, the crystalline being said. New species must be guided, protected from their own aggressive instincts. This is why we have rules about military development. Jiwoo pulled up another document on the holographic display. I read those rules carefully. They apply to species who accept council membership and guidance. Earth never agreed to council jurisdiction. We are a sovereign species. You have no legal authority over our military decisions. The chamber exploded into arguments. Some aliens agreed with the human position. Others shouted that Earth was being dangerously independent. The High Counselor struggled to restore order. Regardless of legal technicalities, it finally said, humanity must recognize reality. You are one species new to space. The Council represents thousands of worlds, billions of individuals. We have resources and power you cannot match. Submit to Council oversight or face economic sanctions. Trade embargoes. Military quarantine of your space. It was meant to be the final word. The threat that would make humanity bow. Jiwoo had been waiting for exactly this moment. Captain Daejung, she said, perhaps you should address the Council's concerns about humanity's military capabilities. Daejung stepped forward. From his uniform pocket, he produced a small device that projected its own holographic display. What appeared above the platform made the entire chamber fall silent. It showed Earth's orbital shipyards. Massive construction frames held ships in various stages of completion. The Indomitable was there, along with 11 identical vessels. But that wasn't all. Smaller cruisers, destroyers, and support ships filled other frames. Defense platforms surrounded human colonies. Weapon installations dotted asteroids and moons. The Indomitable is one of 12 Alpha-class battleships, Daejung said. Each one matches what the Council would classify as a super dreadnought. We have 48 Beta-class cruisers, 120 Gamma-class destroyers, 600 defense platforms across our territory. The numbers hit like physical blows. The aliens had assumed humanity was a small player, barely spaceworthy. This was a fleet that could challenge major council powers. Impossible, the furry alien said, but its voice lacked conviction. You couldn't build that many ships. You've only been in space for 50 years. 53 years, Daejung corrected. We used them efficiently. Officer Sung-min had provided Daejung with detailed intelligence about Council military capabilities. He knew their ships, their tactics, their weaknesses. Now he used that knowledge. Your plasma cannon technology is efficient but slow to recharge, he said to one section of aliens. Your shield generators use a crystalline matrix that fails under kinetic impact. He turned to another group. Your faster-than-light drives are limited to 5 times light speed. Ours reach 12. He was being deliberately provocative, showing off Earth's intelligence gathering. The message was clear. We've been watching you. We know your capabilities. We're not impressed. The High Counselor's branches shook. You come here with military threats? We come here with reality, Jiwoo said. You summoned us as if we were children to be scolded. You threatened sanctions and quarantines. But we are not children. We are a spacefaring civilization with the ability to defend our interests. You need to decide if you want humanity as a partner or an adversary. You speak boldly for a species standing alone, the crystalline being said. Do we? Taemin asked. He pulled up another document. We've been contacted by 17 council species in the last 24 hours. Since our ship docked, they're interested in trade agreements, technology exchanges, mutual defense pacts. Apparently, many council members are tired of being told what to do by the elder species. This caused even more chaos. Several aliens stood, shouting denials or accusations at each other. The carefully maintained order of the council was cracking. A new voice cut through the noise. An alien that looked like liquid metal in a roughly humanoid shape rose from a seat in the middle tiers. I move that this session be suspended. Clearly, the situation with humanity is more complex than initially assessed. We need time to review their legal arguments and their strategic position. Seconded, said another alien quickly. The High Counselor looked like it wanted to argue, but council rules were clear. Once a motion was properly made and seconded, it had to be voted on. The chamber voted quickly and the motion passed. This session is suspended, the High Counselor announced with clear reluctance. The council will reconvene in 3 days. Humanity's delegation will remain at the station. Jiwoo bowed slightly. We'll be available when you're ready to talk seriously. As they left the chamber, Daejung could hear the arguments starting up again behind them. The council was fracturing over how to deal with Earth. Perfect. Walking back through the station corridors, surrounded by alien security guards who now looked at them with wary respect, Jiwoo allowed herself a small smile. That went well, she said. They're scared, Taemin observed. Scared species make poor decisions. Some of them are scared, Daejung corrected. Others are excited. Did you see that liquid metal one? And the small gray aliens in the back? They were nodding at everything we said. Potential allies, Jiwoo agreed. The council isn't as unified as they pretend. When they returned to the Indomitable, Commander Jae-hwan met them at the airlock. How did it go? We rattled them, Daejung said. What's our status? Still being tracked by defense systems, but no aggressive moves. Some of the nearby ships have actually moved further away from us. In the engineering section, Bo-Ra monitored power systems. Everything remained ready. If things went wrong, the Indomitable could fight its way out of the station. She hoped it wouldn't come to that, but hope wasn't a strategy. The challenge came on the second day after the council session. Captain Daejung was reviewing tactical reports when the communication arrived. It bore the seal of the council's Military Oversight Committee. The council requests a demonstration, the message said, to verify the capabilities you claimed. A test will be arranged in the Kelton system, uninhabited, 3 days from now. Attendance is mandatory. Lieutenant Hye-jin read the message over his shoulder. They want to see what we can do. No, Daejung said. They want to prove we're lying. They think we exaggerated our capabilities to scare them. Ambassador Jiwoo joined them on the bridge. She had been expecting this. It's a smart move on their part. If we refuse, we look weak. If we accept and disappoint them, we lose all credibility. And if we accept and impress them, asked Counselor Taemin, then we never have to prove ourselves again, Daejung said. He activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands prepare for tactical exercises. This is not a drill. We're going to show the Council what Earth can do. Throughout the Indomitable, crew members prepared. In engineering, Bora ran full diagnostics on every system. The ship would perform perfectly, or she would know the reason why. At the weapons stations, Hyajin coordinated with her gunners. They would get one chance to make an impression. Commander Jae Hwan organized the demonstration sequence. We should start simple. Basic targeting, then escalate to more impressive displays. No, Daejung said. We start impressive and end impossible. I want them scared from the first shot. The Kelton system was a short jump away. When the human ships arrived, they found a gathering that looked more like a military parade than a test. Over 30 Council warships waited, representing a dozen different species. Observation platforms floated at safe distances, filled with sensors and recording equipment. They brought witnesses. Officer Sungmin observed from his intelligence station. This will be broadcast across Council space. Good, Jiwoo said. More people need to see this. A communication channel opened. The High Counselor's voice came through. Humanity's representatives, welcome. The test will proceed as follows. We have deployed automated target drones in various positions throughout the system. Your ship will demonstrate its weapons capabilities against these targets. Council observers will verify the results. What kind of targets? Daejung asked. Varied. Armored drones simulating warships. Fast-moving drones simulating fighters. Long-range targets. We want to see the full range of your capabilities. In reality, they wanted to see humanity fail. Daejung could hear it in the counselor's voice. They had made the tests difficult, hoping the Indomitable would struggle. Understood, Daejung said. We're ready when you are. The first test began. Target drones appeared on sensors, clustered in a group about 50,000 kilometers away. They were large with thick armor plates designed to withstand multiple hits from standard Council weapons. Conventional approach would be plasma cannons or missiles, Hyajin said. Multiple shots over several minutes. Show them something better, Daejung ordered. Hyajin smiled. Her fingers moved across her console, bringing the Indomitable's railgun arrays online. These weapons used magnetic acceleration to fire solid projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The kinetic energy alone made them devastating. Firing solution locked. 3 rounds, 3 targets. Fire! The railguns launched their projectiles with barely a sound. On the Indomitable, only a slight vibration indicated the weapons had fired. But in space, 3 metal slugs raced toward the target drones at impossible speeds. Impact came seconds later. The first drone simply exploded, torn apart by the kinetic force. The second and third followed instantly. The armored plating that should have protected them meant nothing against weapons traveling at relativistic speeds. Silence filled the communication channels. The Council observers had expected a longer engagement. Instead, 3 targets had been destroyed in seconds with weapons they didn't recognize. Next test, the High Counselor finally said, voice strained. More targets appeared. These were smaller, faster, moving in evasive patterns, fighter-craft simulations. Normally, warships struggled with such small, quick targets. Point defense systems could only do so much. Specialist Kyung-suk at the sensor array fed targeting data to the weapon systems. The Indomitable's point defense network came alive. Unlike Council ships that used plasma or missile-based defense, Earth had developed directed energy weapons. Lasers that traveled at light speed, making evasion impossible. The fighter drones never stood a chance. As fast as they moved, light moved faster. The laser arrays tracked, fired, and destroyed 12 targets in under 10 seconds. Each shot was precise, each kill instant. On the Council observation ships, crews stared at their sensors in disbelief. Some of them had fought wars using fighter tactics. They knew how difficult small craft were to counter. The humans had made it look easy. Long-range targets, the High Counselor announced, but its confidence was fading. Drones appeared at maximum sensor range, over 200,000 kilometers away. At that distance, most weapons became inaccurate. Energy dissipated. Projectiles lost velocity. It required multiple ships working together to engage targets so far away. Daejung looked at Hyejin. Show them our missile systems. The Indomitable carried missiles unlike anything the Council used. These were smart weapons with their own propulsion, sensors, and target-seeking AI. Once launched, they could track targets across vast distances, adjust for evasive maneuvers, and coordinate with other missiles for maximum effect. Hyojin launched a full spread. 20 missiles left their tubes, accelerating rapidly. The Council observers watched them on sensors, expecting a long chase. But these missiles moved faster than Council equivalents. They split up, each tracking a separate target or working in pairs against harder targets. 2 minutes later, every long-range drone was destroyed. The missiles had covered the distance, adjusted for each target's movement, and struck with perfect accuracy. Not a single weapon was wasted. Impressive, the High Counselor admitted. But we have one final test. Multiple targets, mixed types, simultaneous engagement. Can your ship handle complex combat scenarios? This was the real test. Combat was chaotic. Ships had to track dozens of threats, prioritize targets, manage power distribution, and coordinate multiple weapon systems simultaneously. The Council wanted to see if humanity's impressive weapons could work together effectively. Deploy the scenario, Daijung said calmly. The system suddenly filled with targets. Fast drones, armored drones, long-range drones, all moving in random patterns. Over 50 targets in total, spread across hundreds of thousands of kilometers. It was meant to be overwhelming. Commander Jae-hwan took control of the tactical response. This was what he had trained for. His console showed every target, color-coded by threat level and type. The Indomitable's combat AI helped, but ultimately human judgment made the decisions. Engaging, he announced. The Indomitable became a weapon platform of coordinated destruction. Railguns targeted the heavy drones. Point defense lasers tracked the fast ones. Missiles launched toward distant clusters. Every weapon system fired in perfect sequence, managed by a crew that had drilled for exactly this scenario. The Council observers saw something they had never witnessed before. Perfect integration of multiple weapon types, flawless target prioritization, and combat efficiency that exceeded anything in their experience. The Indomitable fought like a single organism, every part working in harmony. In less than 3 minutes, all 50 targets were destroyed. The Indomitable's shields had never been touched. Its weapons had never missed. It had demonstrated combat capabilities that matched an entire Council battle group. That was at 60% capacity, Daejung said calmly over the open channel. Would you like to see what we can do at full power? No response came. What could they say? They had challenged humanity to prove itself, and humanity had exceeded every expectation. But Daejung wasn't finished. He had saved the most impressive demonstration for last. Ambassador Jiwoo, he said, permission to demonstrate our experimental systems? Jiwoo considered. This would either seal their reputation or provoke a panic. But they had come this far. Approved. Daejung nodded to Bora in engineering. Bring the gravitic disruptor online. This weapon was Earth's greatest secret. It manipulated gravitational fields, creating localized spatial distortions. The technology was barely understood even by its creators, but the effects were undeniable. New targets, Daejung said to the Council. Whatever you want. Place them however you like. After a moment, 6 heavily armored drones appeared, spread in a wide formation. They were the toughest targets available, designed to survive sustained bombardment firing gravitic disruptor. Nothing visible happened. No beam, no projectile, no explosion. But on every sensor screen, readings went wild. Space itself twisted around the target drones. Gravity increased by impossible amounts in tiny regions. The drones' hulls buckled, compressed by forces no material could withstand. In seconds, all 6 drones had been crushed into dense metal fragments. The Council observation ships fell absolutely silent. No weapon they possessed worked like this. No technology in their databases matched what they had just seen. Humanity had just demonstrated capabilities that bordered on science fiction. The Council chamber felt different when Ambassador Jiwoo entered it for the second time. The atmosphere had changed. Where before there had been arrogance and dismissal, now there was caution. The aliens watched her carefully as she walked to the center platform, flanked by Captain Daejung and Counselor Taemin. The demonstration in the Kelton system had been broadcast across Council space. Every species had seen what humanity's weapons could do. The comfortable assumptions about primitive humans had been shattered. Now they had to deal with reality. The High Counselor rose, its branches moving in patterns that Jiwoo had learned indicated stress. The Council has reviewed the demonstration and humanity's legal arguments. We are prepared to offer a compromise. Here it comes, Jiwoo thought. The trap disguised as cooperation. Humanity will be granted full council membership, the counselor continued, with voting rights and access to council resources. In exchange, you will share your weapons technology with council defense forces. You will also agree to joint military operations and accept council oversight of your expansion. It sounded generous. Full membership was usually earned over decades, sometimes centuries. But Jiwoo saw the real goal. They wanted humanity's technology. They wanted to control Earth's military. They wanted to make sure humanity never became a threat to council power. No, Jiwoo said simply. Murmuring filled the chamber. The High Counselor's branches rustled violently. You refuse council membership? We refuse those terms, Jiwoo clarified. You're not offering partnership, you're offering submission with better decorations. You're being unreasonable, the furry alien with 6 eyes said. Full membership is an honor. Sharing technology benefits everyone. Does it? Taemin asked. He activated his datapad, projecting information above the platform. We studied council technology agreements. The elder species control all advanced technology. Newer species share their innovations but rarely receive anything in return. It's not cooperation, it's extraction. That's a gross simplification, the crystalline being protested. Is it? Jiwoo asked. Tell me, how many junior council species have been allowed to develop weapons comparable to the elder species? How many have been given access to the best shield technology, the fastest drives? Silence. The answer was obvious. None. The council's structure kept new species dependent and weak. Here's our counteroffer, Jiwoo said. Earth will accept associate status, not full membership. We maintain complete sovereignty over our territory, our technology, and our military. We agree to follow council rules regarding territorial claims and peaceful contact protocols. But we don't bow to council authority. Unacceptable, the High Counselor said immediately. Associate status is for species still developing space capability. You would have no voting rights, no voice in council decisions. We don't want a voice in your decisions, Daijung said. We want you to have no voice in ours. This is unprecedented, an alien that looked like a floating jellyfish said. No advanced species has ever refused full membership. Then we're making history, Jiwoo replied. But we're not here just to refuse, we're offering something else. Individual treaties with council species, trade agreements, cultural exchanges, even mutual defense pacts. With individual species, not the council as a whole. This caused an explosion of conversation. The council's power came from unity, from forcing all species to work through central authority. Humanity was proposing to bypass that entirely, dealing with species directly. Ambassador Yoonji stepped forward from where she had been waiting near the chamber entrance. She was Earth's military attaché, an expert in defense agreements. Several species have already contacted us privately, she said. They're interested in what humanity offers. Who? The High Counselor demanded. Instead of answering, Yoonji gestured. From different sections of the chamber, 5 aliens stood, the liquid metal being from the previous session. 2 small gray aliens, a creature that looked like animated stone, and surprisingly, a representative from one of the supposedly elder species. We support humanity's proposal, the liquid metal being said. The council has become rigid, unable to adapt. New species like humanity should not be forced into old patterns. This is betrayal, the High Counselor said, but its voice lacked force. This is evolution, the stone creature replied. The galaxy changes. The council must change with it or become irrelevant. Over the next hour, the chamber descended into arguments. Some species supported the traditional council structure. Others saw humanity's arrival as an opportunity to restructure galactic politics. The unity that had kept the council powerful for millennia was cracking. Finally, strategist Wan Shik, who had been quietly observing from the side, stepped forward. He was Earth's long-term planning specialist. May I offer a perspective? The High Counselor, desperate to restore order, agreed. The council fears humanity will disrupt everything, Wan Shik said. That fear is correct. We will. But disruption isn't destruction. For too long, a few elder species have controlled galactic civilization. They chose who advanced and who didn't. They decided which technologies were shared and which were hoarded. They maintained peace, yes, but peace built on inequality and control. He gestured to the younger species in the chamber. How many of you have innovations your elder species deemed inappropriate to share? How many have been told to develop slowly, to not challenge established powers? Uncomfortable shifting among many aliens suggested he had hit a nerve. Humanity offers a different model, Wanshik continued. Direct relationships between species. Trade based on mutual benefit, not council-mandated terms. Defense agreements that don't require surrendering sovereignty. We're not trying to replace the council. We're offering an alternative. You'll fracture the galaxy, the High Counselor said. Species will form competing alliances. There will be conflict. There's already conflict, Daejung said. You just hide it behind diplomatic language and council procedures. At least our way is honest. The debate continued for hours. Eventually, exhausted aliens began leaving the chamber. The council couldn't reach consensus. Humanity had presented a proposal they couldn't accept, but couldn't effectively refuse. That evening, secret meetings began across the station. Species sent representatives to the Indomitable, requesting private discussions. The liquid metal beings offered technological exchange. The small gray aliens wanted mutual defense agreements. Even some elder species sent quiet messages, interested in trade deals outside council oversight. Jiwoo met with delegation after delegation, always with Daejung nearby and Yoonji negotiating details. By the end of the second day, Earth had signed preliminary agreements with 12 species. Not formal treaties yet, but frameworks for future cooperation. On the third day, the council reconvened. The High Counselor looked tired. The council cannot reach agreement on humanity's status. This has never happened before in our recorded history. Then adapt, Jiwoo said. Create a new category. Associate sovereignty. We follow council law where it doesn't conflict with our independence. We maintain our own military and territorial control. But we commit to peaceful relations and honest trade. After more debate, the council voted. It wasn't unanimous. Several elder species voted against, but enough junior species supported the proposal that it passed. Very well, the High Counselor said with obvious reluctance. Humanity is granted associate sovereign status. You have the same rights as full members regarding territorial claims and trade, but you remain outside council military and technological agreements. Acceptable, Jiwoo said. However, the counselor added, if humanity proves to be a destabilizing force, this status can be revoked. Fair enough, Jiwoo replied. And if the council proves to be oppressive, we'll help other species find alternatives. It was a standoff, not a surrender. Both sides had made their positions clear. The relationship between Earth and the council would never be comfortable. But it would be honest. As the session ended, Daejung noticed something interesting. Many of the junior species were watching humanity's delegation with hope. For the first time, they had seen someone stand up to council authority and win. It would inspire changes far beyond what anyone currently realized. The Indomitable prepared to depart. Captain Byung-ho and the Dauntless had already received departure clearance. The massive human warship backed away from the station slowly, its presence still intimidating to the alien ships nearby. On the bridge, Heejin monitored their exit. Defense platforms are powered down, no target locks, we're clear. Set course for Earth, Daejung ordered. Ambassador, I believe your mission is complete. Jiwoo stood near the command chair, watching the station recede on the view screen. The mission is just beginning. We've opened the door. Now we need to figure out what kind of galactic civilization humanity wants to build. One that respects strength, Daejung said. One that offers genuine partnership, Taiman added. One that doesn't bow to anyone, Yoonji finished. They all smiled. It had been a risk bringing a battleship to a diplomatic meeting, but it had worked. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as supplicants hoping for acceptance, but as equals, demanding respect. The Indomitable jumped to slipspace, leaving Council Nexus behind. As they traveled home, communication channels filled with messages,